Hi all, welcome to Madhu's Soul Tribe. Today I'm going to tell you guys a story. A young woman was walking towards her favorite bench in a park. This is like a daily routine for her. So it was overlooking a lake. So the day was glorious. It was warm, breezy, and birds were chirping around. So she was feeling very happy. So she was walking towards her bench, her favorite bench in the park. She sees a young girl sitting in the, sitting in the bench adjacent to hers or at the backside. But she doesn't make much of it at that point of time. So she goes to her favorite spot, opens her book, opens her favorite bar of chocolate, and she was all pumped up to read the book. Suddenly, she hears a sobbing sound and she gets startled. It's coming from the young girl who was sitting facing the other side of the bench. And she wasn't sure what to do about it. So she just waits for couple of minutes. The sobbing and the crying goes on for a little bit of time. And the young girl then starts hiccuping. So this young woman felt that it was the right time and she offers the young girl a bottle of water. Um, for some time there was no response. After a while, a hand comes and takes the bottle from her. The young girl drinks water and gives it back and says thank you. So this young woman then offers her half of the bar of chocolate and says, "Would you like to try some? Because this is absolutely amazing." So this young girl, this young woman hasn't seen this young girl because she's facing the other direction. So the young girl just quietly takes the half the bar of chocolate that's offered and says thank you, and then she just quietly starts eating. This young woman then starts to make a conversation with this young girl. She's like, "I haven't seen you in this park. Do you come often?" And all that, kind of conversation to make her at ease. Initially, the young girl was a little guarded, but she then starts speaking slowly to this, warms up to this young woman. And then this young woman asks the young girl, "May I know what's bothering you? If it is all right to ask you so." So this young girl lets a big sigh and says that I was made fun of at school today, and it really bothered me. Since I had no one to talk to, I just came here to the park. So this young woman asked the young girl, "Is it all right if I come and sit next to you?" The young girl hesitates for some time and then just quietly nods her head. So this young woman walks over to the other side of the bench. She wanted to give that young girl her space, so she sits a little apart. She's seeing this young girl for the first time. She's got fringes of hair, and her hair is almost covering her entire face, so she's unable to, see the girl's features properly. So she asked this young girl, "So, what did they actually say, and why does it bother you?" This young girl uh, gives a big sigh, and she takes a couple of deep breaths, and then she just, parts her hair. She's got beautiful eyes, beautiful nose, beautiful features. Just that she's got a big birthmark on her cheek, which almost covers her entire right cheek. Now this young woman understands, you for what this young girl is made fun of. This girl is looking at the woman also for the very first time. This young woman looks so beautiful. So this young girl looks at this girl should be in her teens. So she looks at the young woman and tells her, "Why? Why am I born with this mark? I never asked for this. Why?" Why should I go through this? Why am I being, bullied for something which is not, under my control? All those other girls look so cute. They look so attractive. I mean, what can I do if I'm born with this? And she's so frustrated. She's, so hurt. So this young woman just quietly listens to this young girl and asks her, "Why do you think it's it's your fault? We are born the way we are, and I know today everything is about looking cute or looking sexy or looking seductive, but I think we girls are more than that. We've got brains, we've got a personality. So I don't think we have to make it all about our looks." This young girl is little indignant. She gets a little angry. So she looks at this young woman indignantly and tells her, "Oh yeah, you're the right person to talk about it. I'm sure you were one of the most popular girls in the school and everybody adored you. So what would you know, or how would you know what I'm going through?" The young woman, just nods her head and says, "Yeah, you're right. Not just one of the most popular girl. I was the most popular girl in my school. I was a cheerleader, I was a prom queen, etc., etc. And I used to date the most popular guy in the school." So this young girl was, gets a little guarded. So this young woman says, "And you know what? I had my own set of friends, and I used to be all about my looks. I used to be all about my clothes. I used to, have the latest trend. I used to be the trendsetter. I used to look beautiful or cute all the time. But you know what? There was a side which nobody knew. My then boyfriend, the most popular boy in the school, used to put me down. He got his ego boost by putting down the most popular girl in the school because he knows that I will always be, his eye candy, and I always belong to him, and I'm nothing more than this most popular girl in the school status. So he used to humiliate me in front of his friends, in front of my friends. But I just kept quiet. I just used to smile like it was, no big deal. But then I had a secret place in my school where I used to go and I used to show all my frustration on the wall. I used to punch it, I used to kick it, I used to cry till everything gets out of me. And then I'll be back to the same routine, back to him again and again. The cycle went on and on. One day, he humiliated me publicly in front of the entire school. So I was seething with anger. But as usual, I just smiled and waved to everybody. I just excused myself. I just ran to my secret place. And then I punched and I kicked the wall so much my knuckles were actually bleeding. And then I broke down, and then I cried, I cried, I cried, and then I went home. The next day, I remember that I left my book in my special place. So I went to that place to retrieve my book. There was a boxing bag hanging there, and there was a little note which said, "You're really good at throwing punches and kicks, but why don't you try it on the boxing bag instead of on the wall?" I was like, who would have done this? That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Who would have done this? Who would have done this thoughtful thing for me? But then I tried a couple of punches. I tried a couple of kicks. I felt really good. It was like I'm not just a doll, just my appearance. It's not only my physical strength. I felt mentally strong as well. So I started practicing it on the, on the boxing bag, and felt very curious as to who this person is who've done such a thoughtful thing for me. So I left a note because I couldn't find who this person is. So I left a note hoping that this person would read and get back to me. So I left a note thanking the person for this beautiful thing they have done, this kind gesture which made me look at myself in a different way than how I was looking at myself. I was hoping, I was praying that this person replies back to me, and the person really did. So we started communicating back and forth by leaving notes, and suddenly the young woman's phone starts ringing, and she answers her phone, and she's like, "Oh, you're already here." So she keeps her phone, and there was a young man walking towards these two people, and the sunlight was shining so brightly on this young man. This young woman's eyes were lit up with joy, and she just jumped and ran towards this young man, hugged him, kissed him on the cheek, and they held hands and they came towards this young girl. And this young man, as he started coming towards this young girl, she saw that this young man had an autoimmune disease which made discolored patches on his skin. He also had patches of hair which are, um, bald patches on his head as well. But he was absolutely happy. He looked absolutely on top of the world. So they both came and sat beside this young girl. And then this young woman introduces this young man to this girl. This is Mark. Oh, by the way, I'm Delilah, she says to this young girl. And Mark was like, "What's happening here?" So Delilah says that I was just telling our story to this young girl. So Mark also notices that this young girl has a birthmark on on her face. So where at which point are you there in this story? Mark asks Delilah. Delilah says, "I'm at that point where we were exchanging notes." So Mark says, "Okay, then let me continue the story." Mark says she started pestering me, via notes to meet me in person. But during that point of time, I was completely hidden, or I was completely hiding myself in school. I didn't want anyone to look at me. I was wearing a hood all the time. I used to be the person who used to sit at the last bench, not to attract any attention. When I was walking one day along that place, I saw Delilah punching the wall so hard that she was actually bleeding, and I could feel her pain. So that's why I did what I did to her, buy her that boxing bag, and I wanted to channel her anger into her strength, instead of making it a weakness. So she kept on pestering me, asking me to meet in person. And one day I thought, okay, let's get this done with. So we we picked a time, a day, and then I was so nervous. I didn't even sleep the previous day. So I went, and I was wearing my hood. I completely covered my face. So when I went to see her, she was standing, at a distance. My heart was thumping so fast, you know. Then Delilah asked me to remove my hood, and I was so nervous, but I just went ahead and removed my hood. Then I was half expecting her to just, say thank you and walk away and never see me again ever in my life. But she walked towards me, and she hugged me, and she kissed me on my cheek just like you saw me, now. And she said, "You're the most beautiful person I've ever known in my life, and please be in my life forever." I was stunned. I didn't know how to react. And she then offered her bar of chocolate. I'm seeing that bar of chocolate in your hand as well. That's how she gets to people, he says. The young girl breaks into a smile. So he tells this young girl, don't be afraid to show who you are. People who really wants to see you will definitely see you. So just because we are different, just because we are unique, doesn't mean that we have to live in the shadows. And then Delilah say continues, had I not met Mark, I don't know what would I have become right now in my life. I don't know whether I would have had the confidence that I have today about myself, that it's not just about my face or my beauty, but I can, withstand, be a person who can be beautiful inside and outside. And today we are running, both of us are running a very successful martial arts school. And one more interesting thing happened. Delilah says, the next day when I went to school, I told Mark that I want to go, holding his hands in front of the entire school. So we both held our hands and we were walking through the corridor. My then ex-boyfriend comes in front of me. He was super, super angry. And he starts, abusing me and telling me all those, very derogatory words. And he was about to physically assault me. I don't know from where I got this surge of power. I just punched him right back on his nose. And he was stunned. He was stunned that I would stand up to him. And then he noticed that the entire school was watching him. So he was like, he just wanted to get back to me for what I had done. And he just came back, with his arm, and Mark stepped in. Obviously, that my ex-boyfriend didn't know that Mark was pretty good at martial arts and pretty advanced level. So Mark stepped in and gave him a lesson he never forgot again. And that day, the school saw Mark for who he was, and we became the most popular, powerful couple the entire school. So Delilah then took this young girl's hand. She wrote a number. She says, "Why don't you come and join us for a, free martial arts class? Then you'll get to know who you really are." And then they say, it's time to we get back home, and they wish this young girl all the very best in her life, and they both walked away. This young girl then, you know, sat back in the chair, relaxed, with a smile on her face. Now she's got all the information she needs to get through her life or take on whatever comes in her way. Thank you all. I hope you like this story, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.